Okay, eti yamu akwa baby Adom TV so ne oti en kan sempa 94.7 FM bidin the Chief Jerry Force na Nnawotwe Dwumadie na ye de brewo ye de ensoshe anadesua ho nkomo no ebe hyase na afei ya hwe ensoshe aye nuanu mo mkotro WASSCE afie yi mu wo mo ekotwere ye no ya twetwe ho enkomo na me ma figures bi a total of 446,352 candidates and according to WAEC wo mo tre sa ensoshe emu 221,439 enu gina homa 49.6% mema ena emu 224,913 enu gina homa 50.4% enso so eye emma sa nkura nyina wo mu free 965 schools ena wo mu kwotre enso hwe no now yenkwa mizum no so na fe mene Owura Peter Antio executive director Institute for Education Studies, IFEST. Waba mizum no so mene no entwetwe enkomo. Oranti wote menka? Peter metonka chepa o Piero.
Mr. Ho, me bani enkomo.
Metonka che. But general overview asana fe yako into specifics of afie results aba betoja amofra wo mkotre WASSCE. Yes, just in free ho. General overview. At saying, Peter.
I think on my idea, as we always say, to write exams in times like this, last year and then this year, still pandemic, into any student or better chance say actual exams, start prepare for exams. Not just why idea into your because abaso, your teachers abaso, your parents abaso say mamu franong encouragement now. Ometimi actual and social, but for us, we still think that we have not addressed the fundamental challenges of the WASSCE examination. So, Mufrani be idea, but a lot of them would also find themselves out of the whole tertiary education enrollment system. If we don't fix this particular challenge, what with our WASSCE exams now, we would continue to have those kids always being seen outside the regular tertiary education stream.
Okay. What must we do right? And then if we say entry ye where raise the issue, there are challenges. And then I say Peter.
Okay, so always our conversation is about nipa in the past year.
Yes.
We share nipa in the Beko tertiary institution. There are two levels of analysis. I said they be aware. As also the general overview, which is the macro level. No, and normally na omodababe to na ministry ni other people no pick it up. Then they would want to say it's true. If you look at the trend of analysis from 2016 out to now, you see that there's been a considerable improvement in the number of students almost passing WASSCE. At the same time, you also have to do a micro level analysis. The micro level analysis, and then they say we'll be delving into the regional breakdowns, we'll be delving into the district breakdowns, we'll be delving into the individual school breakdown, and that will give you an idea whether the general picture reflects it at the base, and that is unfortunately not the case. So when it comes to analyzing this, I always say we should hasten slowly. We should now delve into the districts, the individual schools, and see. Say school way last year their pass rates this year pass rate have there been any improvement? I've heard a lot of people even talking about double tracking paranormal idea, but then the analysis you have to do is to just look at last year performance, compared to this year performance of all double track schools and see, say there have been an improvement. This is something that our big people are not doing. So they look at the general trend of analysis in terms of the macro level, normal because of my idea. Two, almost 40% last year did not or could not access tertiary education because Oman passing in one of the core subjects, and definitely if you don't pass English and then maths and then the alternate between social studies and integrated science, you are not likely to gain admission into the tertiary institutions. Now the minister is talking about looking at D7 I don't know how the universities will pick that, but still it means that if you are sticking to the A1 to C6, then you are going to have a situation whereby the 40% last year didn't gain admission to the tertiary institution, 40% this year didn't get admission to tertiary institution. If you look at the pass rate is almost around 59.99 last year, 59.97 this year. People are saying it is 50%. It depends on how you want to calculate it. If you take the averages of all the core subjects, now we'll strike it for the 4 subjects. Now, this is what you get. You get 59.99 last year, 59.97 this year, and that is the pass rate. People will say it's 50 based on the fact that they want to restrict themselves to English and then mathematics. And I think that we have to bring all the other core subjects on board. Now, that is the situation at hand. 40%
Peter,
are not going.
Peter, then it means that in the core subjects, last year, one more year compared to this year. Is that it? Stand it here.
Exactly. If you pick the average, it was 59.97 in the 4 core subjects. But if you look at this year, it is 59.99. Last year was 59.99, and then this year is, I think, I've missed the figures, but one is 59.99, one is 59.97. I'll have to check and then get back to you on that. But the point I'm trying to make is consistently, we are cutting almost 40% of our students out. We are cutting almost 40% of our students out, and we need to pay attention to that particular fact and ensure that these students also find themselves into the system. What do we need to do? Look, in Ghana, if you don't pass WASSCE or life, because he needs to enter the tertiary institution. And we know that even those who are even going to the tertiary institution, they so there's a problem there. And that is why some of us, we are saying, what WASSCE gives out every year, it's a statement of results. They call it a certificate that contains your results. Now, you have done 14 years of education in Ghana, and that is instructive. The terminal point, if you are following the vision of the president, should be SHS 3. So if you have done 14 years of education in Ghana and you are terminating at SHS 3, and your WAEC results says that you cannot continue, it means that your life has come to an end. Although ideally, the system says that you can move into the world of work. I know between me and you, nobody would employ somebody who has F9, E8, D7 on his transcript. It's not possible. So this is what the proposal has always been. Why don't you issue certificates of completion for all those who complete senior high school to indicate that they have done 14 years of basic education in Ghana? Basic education in the sense that they have done primary, DSS, and then SHS. And that is 14 years. And that certificate is to show that they have completed that kind of education in Ghana. Then those who would want to proceed with that certificate to seek for employment somewhere, whatever it is, can proceed and do that. They go, and then finally, maybe after some months, they can find themselves back into the formal education stream based on courses that have been designed to meet their chosen path. And I say, maybe on person Mokono. Until I go and then do some job somewhere. Maybe I want to be a sales executive. So I do 4, 5, 5, 6, 7 months of that somewhere, get practical knowledge. And then I move back to a program by a technical university or a normal university, 6 months, and then I get a certificate or a diploma in that. That's a way to be able to bring these people 40% now pass now, right admission into the tertiary institution, bring them back into the formal education system. Okay.
Peter, what we can do to improve your performance on the 4 core subjects. 2020-2021, English language, for instance, in 2020, A1 to C6, 2020, 57.34%. Now in 2021, 54.08%. Like I say, Eswati, is that correct?
Yeah.
Eswati. Okay. Mathematics per WASSCE WAEC for result of the Mathematics in 2020 A1 to C6 56.71% in 2020, 54.11% in 2021, and also has seen a dip.
Yeah. Sure.
Good. Integrated science A1 to C6 in 2020 52.53%. 2021, Apeganimu, 65.70%. Social studies, 64.31% in 2020, 66.03%. So my question is, what can we do to improve performance for core subjects? So free SHS policy no o the total results here analysis here my year confirm and also so ekosoro Peter
my answer question. I mean,
me too.
I'm into we are into research. Yeah, way too much. And last year I said this that you cannot bench the performance of the students on the free SHS policy, and I landed myself into a lot of troubles with the big men in the sector, and it's simply because
but Peter here on this platform we face facts and we say it as a text. So
sure. And so nobody can give me a scientific work that has been done to show that free SHS is the only factor that is improving the performance of the students.
Okay.
If somebody comes with that, I'll concede to that fact. The point I'm trying to make is that a determined student performance, and this it ranges from unknown students, personal factors, teacher factors, school factors, unknown family factors. Even the day that they are writing the exams, there are factors that determine the student's performance. So for anybody to come out and say concretely that say free SHS and I say a particular thing is responsible for an outcome in the examination, I just want the person or the group of people to give me a scientific proof of that. And I don't think a study has been conducted to that effect. I would be glad to read such a paper. So as you said, and means we are fixing our teacher issues, we are fixing the students are also fixing themselves, families are fixing the students. There are a whole lot of factors that will contribute to this. We will need to do a comprehensive study on this. And I keep saying that if you go to advanced world, people don't now evidence, empirical evidence to show say this is the situation. But most of the times because we think we are assuming that the performance of the students can be linked to something, and therefore we want to say I don't lead it to it. And that is why I said, if you want to do that analysis, then let's take the base. Okay, all these senior high schools enjoy free SHS. Now, pick the individual schools and compare their results. You will see that some of them are improving, some of them are going down. Will you ascribe those whose pass rate have reduced to free SHS also? Is that what you are going to say? Will you ascribe those whose performance have increased to free SHS? Yes, they will say yes. So those whose performance have reduced, what other factors has contributed to that apart from free SHS? And that is the essence of the point I always make, that you don't look at the macro level, no one will make these kind of assertions and assumptions. Look at the individual schools. Look at what is happening in the individual schools, and then you'll be able to understand and appreciate the reason why performance have tilted in a certain direction. I've also heard some people are saying that they didn't perform well this year in English and maths because of indiscipline. And I ask myself simple question. List all the schools that have recorded certain levels of indiscipline and then benchmark them against their performance last year and this year and see whether these schools have had an improvement in their performance or a reduction in their performance. This is the kind of analysis we need to do. Then we can make concrete statements as to whether a particular policy or a particular intervention is yielding a particular kind of results.
Okay. Let me contact hours. So once I mean, in this conversation, contact hours. I'm a friend. Woman school. I'm the coach. So results.
Yes, it's one of the factors. If you look at the literature, time on task is a factor that determines student performance. The more teacher pays attention, the more the teacher pays attention to the students, the more the students gets understanding in certain concepts, and at the end of the day, they will be able to perform well. These are empirical facts. But in our current situation, with reference to the results that have been produced, I cannot say for sure that that is the reason why the students pass, because there's no work to show that.
Peter Mamina was in a fancy ha. Chain of your Yajibrani Atrasa Shunkomo.
Mate,
Peter Anti is the Executive Director, Institute for Education Studies, IFEST, and Atretrain and Comono. We are live on Adom TV, Sanso Asempa 94.7 FM. Yamra Studio. Now, may introduce you my guest. Honorable Elvis Morris Donko, a member of Parliament, Abra Asebu Kwaman Kese, Honorable, and the Demon Sabin Kumsupe, Sanso, and Odiho, Miaminia, Godwin Akogan. Deputy Communication Officer for the National Democratic Congress. On also so Ediso and Afei Ora. Debbie say Akogan menu mi Okay, on the extreme left, Divine. Divine is a research fellow with the Africa Education Watch. Divine has also joined us for the conversation. Divine, we will start off the conversation from you. Now, Mama Tifuati says, Divine, you're training and but on dear, I was in for my whole research, Africa Education Watch. So, Divine, tell us the scope of this research with regards to this year's WASSCE.
All right, thank you, Forsin, and thanks for having me. Good morning to viewers and also to co-panelists here. Yes, Africa Education, we are so keen on this WASSCE and the previous one because we believe the outcome of education is so important. That's what we use to determine to some extent the quality of education.
Yes.
And therefore, what goes into it is very important for us. And we are checking the process to ensure integrity of the process. And we are happy the WASSCE has come, and we are also glad to some extent about the passes we have seen. If we look at the
okay, Divine, Obesoma Mame, you hold on and give me a second. My try home run fee, yaba. Divine, enya kwaina fee, want to train and komono eye train, yaba sisia. All right, I'm Adom TV so Nnawotwe Yi medie egu so a de bra wote en kan so asempa 94.7 FM. So, Divine, let's take it again. You were running us through the scope of work that you've done on this year's WASSCE.
Yeah, so as you already know, that EduWatch has so been keen and interested in the WASSCE because we believe the outcome of it to some extent determined the level of quality in our education, although the BC or WASSCE result is not the only indicator for quality. To extent it speaks well about our education system. So we are interested in that, and since last year and this year we have been monitoring it and been doing some researches into it. This year the result, if you look at the aggregate for the 4 core subjects, it is that it is so different from the previous year 2020. All of them at approximately they are standing at 60%. The pass rate in the 4 core subjects, all of them stand at 60%. Since 2015, we have been trying to increase our percentage in performance. And in 2015, we started from 40.9 and started to increase all in 2019 when it was 62 or 63%. And 2019, when it was 63%, it dropped in 2020 to 60%, and our expectation was that maybe this year would have done better than a 60%, but it still stands at the 60%. And what we can celebrate about this is that when you look at our education strategy plan, that is a framework from 2018 to 2030, that gives us an indicators of what we want to achieve in our education in order to improve quality. The 2021 figure that we gave ourselves in English was 62%. We want what percentage to be 62%. What we can celebrate is that this year the number has actually increased from the, we have passed that particular number. When it comes to the English, which is 62%, we have decreased to 54%. So we haven't met our indicator when it comes to education strategy for the English. But mathematics, inter-science and social studies, we have actually overpassed them. So that is what we can actually celebrate about this result, that when it comes to our education strategy plan for these 3 core subjects, maths, inter-science and social studies, we have passed our target that we set that in 2021, this is what we want the percentage rate should be in these 4 core subjects. It's only the English that we have seen a decline in our target. So yes, we have achieved our education strategy plan for 2021. We have even overpassed the
but I have a personal concern. For instance, with mathematics, F9 this year, we've seen over 88,000 of the students. I mean, obtain F9. That's not too encouraging.
Yes, that's so staggering a figure to talk about. And again, it comes to the point that we have a problem with the mathematics. and we'll come to that. But as Peter Anti also said, while we are looking at this particular national average, we need to be mindful of the fact about the regional and the district aggregation, and then also to the school level disaggregation.
Okay.
Because
have you done that? Have you done the regional, the district, and the individual schools?
Now we have provisional results, so the data will not be available to us. Yes.
Okay.
Because what we know for sure in our advocacy is that anytime you monitor the EMIS data, you see that nationally our data looks good. If you look at trained teacher people ratio, it looks good. Dex to people ratio looks good, and trained teachers to people ratio looks good. All national data, they look good, but when you come to regional level, then you begin to see the challenge, and to the district level, then begin to identify the challenge. For instance, when we are talking about the 2019 WASSCE, the national average was 50%. Why was
the national average
was for the 4 core subjects?
Is it the past average?
Yes,
the past average.
Yes, for the 50%. Okay. But when you do district disaggregation and you go to a community or a district like what's the name? Adansi South.
Adansi South.
Yeah. Well, national average is about 50%. Their English was like 18%. Integrated science was 8.9%. Gushegu, their inter science was 2.4%. English was 1%. Mathematics was 8.5%. Meanwhile, national average was like 50%. So it tells you, and a school like Ahafo North in Ashanti region was called mathematics.
But I mean, these figures you just gave is a huge disproportionate compared to the national.
Yes. So because you would have identified that when you look at it, you see that it is only some districts that are pushing the figures to look good at the national level, and a good number of districts are left out in this figure. If you look at Ahafo North in Ashanti region, mathematics alone 95%.
Wow.
And while somebody in Gushegu is 8.5%.
That's
English language 73%. Somebody in Gushegu is 1%. Integrated science in Gushegu 2.4%, and then in the Ahafo North, they are having 94%. So it tells you the disproportionate in this particular figure we're talking about at the national level.
But a quick one on that. What causes this? The disparity in the. Looking at the district. What causes that?
That comes to how we distribute issues or resources that come to quality education.
Okay.
That is the distribution aspect. When we come to trained teachers, that should be available. Building or infrastructure-wise, the textbook ratio that should be available to these students. Tell us that, for instance, when we are talking about the Gushegu issue, they are having, out of the teachers that they are having, 49 are trained, 24 are trained. So if you are having untrained teachers in such school handling the student, it can tell you that it can paint a picture like this. So this is what are some of the challenges that you would have identified to be facing some of these deprived districts.
Okay.
So we have not distributed the resources that as it should be.
Equitably.
That is it. Look at a preset like this. You will not see an untrained teacher even approaching the blackboard to teach the student. You will not. I tell you, if you post a NAPCO person to presec, that person will only end up handling books for the teachers. The person will not even approach them. But those are the people we post to go and teach in these deprived areas or other underserved districts. So it tells you that we have not distributed these resources very well that should have served the district and even to the schools. So we have to look at that particular challenge of how we distribute our resources in the education space. Otherwise, we'll continue to focus. The national figure will give us a clear idea that, okay, we are doing something right. But what we may be doing right will just be being produced by just a few number of districts that may be producing this national average figure. But a good number of districts. So I would advise that as we celebrate the figures, which of course is not different from previous years, but as we try to celebrate the figures, we need to be mindful of the fact that a good number of districts and schools are not part of this particular celebration that we are having. And that is where our concentration should be, and look at how we can help them to catch up to the national level. Okay,
but Peter Anti made this point on the free SHS and its, effect on the WASSCE results. I don't know. To quote Peter, Peter said that free SHS has no effect on the result. I don't know. The politicians are here, so probably you have done some work on whether the free SHS has an effect or, I mean, any bearing on the results that we keep getting yearly.
All right. When we free SHS, before free SHS, what we're saying is that yes, there's been an increase, continuous increase in performance.
Okay.
For instance, as I just said, in 2015, I think free SHS started in 2017.
Yes.
So in 2015, we had 40.9%, and in 2016, it increased to 46.9%. And then free SHS came in, and then also it continued to increase up to 2019 before it decreases from 62% in 2019 to 60% and to 60% in 2020 and 2021. So you'll see that while we can't entirely say that free SHS has accounted for this, and we can also say that
free SHS also comes with the double track system. Yes, so we should look at it holistically.
So what we can talk about is that the space we were seeing before free SHS, we are also seeing a space in the free SHS, because free SHS we are beginning to see an increase, and free SHS has come in. The increase is still there, just that we have seen a steady decrease from 2019 to this particular year by 2.1%. So for me, we have not done any study to whether to discount, because after the free SHS, what it has actually done is to increase enrollment.
Okay.
That is it. So
but would you say it has impacted on the results? The politicians are here, and we want to, center the conversation around that.
The figure we are receiving from WASSCE has not identified that a free SHS has impacted the results, because as we are seeing that from the 2015 to date, we are seeing an increase in performance. So we can say that is what we saw on GES post, that yes, free SHS #1 has not disrupted quality. So on the face of what we are seeing, we can say, okay, quality has been disrupted, but quality is relative. If it is only WASSCE result we are using to determine the quality, then on the face of it, we are seeing, okay, then we are seeing the improvement from before free SHS even up to now. We are seeing the improvement, and that is what education should be, whether free SHS or not free SHS. My point is that we are seeing an increase, and that should be the focus, and even how best we can help more of our students to pass. Because looking at 60% of students that have passed, it means that 40% of them may not be able to continue to tertiary institution, and 40% is such a huge.
Pitanti mentioned access to tertiary education.
Good. It's such a huge number, so we should be worried about that figure as well. And
40%, that's huge.
That's huge. So what we are trying to celebrate, you look at the 40% that will not be able to access tertiary education and be worried about the figure. While we talk about this celebration, we at Africa Education, if you watch our space during the monitoring of the WASSCE, we have been so keen on integrity of the process, because we know that assessment data helps us to take several decisions in education. You can talk about placement decision, you can talk about guidance and counseling decision, you can talk about policy making decision. So if you don't have your data in assessment to be #1, reliable, valid and usable, then the data you gather would actually not be able to, or whatever decision you based on this data may not be reliable, it may not be valid. So in assessment practice, at every point on the assessment value chain, we want to reduce what we call measurement error. And what we now call APO, or what is the examination malpractice, is a part of what assessment experts call the measurement error. It introduces measurement error. So you may get a higher number, but that higher number may not be a true reflection of the student's performance.
On the issue of examination and leakages, I know, Africa Education Watch and WASSCE has been at loggerheads, so to speak, on these issues. Did it come to play in this year? You've done a lot of work on the leakages. How is the picture like, Divine?
The 20 schools that we, the 20 papers that we monitored during the WASSCE, we can determine that 11 of them leaked. So
out of 20 schools?
No, out of we monitored 50 schools.
You monitored 50 schools?
But we monitored, now our monitoring was in two parts. One, we monitored the papers, the leakage, and then now we monitored the school, whether there will be irregularities in the schools as well. So we took 20 of the papers to see if they leak into social media before the start of examination, and these 20 papers, 11 of the questions papers actually leaked. Now, When we down, the second part is for us to have our monitors in the various 50 schools.
Okay.
Now to monitor whether the students will be compromised or the invigilators will be compromised. And we have identified a lot of irregularities. Students at some of them send mobile phones to the room. Some of them put it at a strategic point, like they are going to.
Wow.
We have invigilators helping this particular student in a particular school. There's a WhatsApp platform for invigilators where questions are sent to these invigilators, now transmitted to teachers standing by to solve, and then the answers provided. So there were a lot of irregularities in the school. And now also for the leakage of the papers, we have, as we have done, 11 of them also leaked. So while we are trying to celebrate the number, we should also be mindful of the fact that...
Would you be kind enough to run us through some of the papers that leaked? You mentioned 11.
11 of them actually leaked.
Okay.
I will have to fetch that for you, which will take a bit of time. So I don't want to do this. So, but what I'm saying, that 11 of these papers...
But my member politicians,
okay, so
yes. Member foundation for Nnawotwe Yi from think tank for Nonafi, you just so and come on. So Divine, help us with the papers that were leaked.
Okay, I will.
Yes. Okay.
You can be taking a word from them while I.
Okay. So Akogan, Abra Oshishano. Ya twetwe nkomo ni bia. That's the found. Wabobọ niema bebre eso. Nia etwe mason kakra. The disparity no a Gushegu district as compared to Ahafuano district. And then Mofano and then the issue of free SHS and the impact enya wo at the transfer. Young friend free honum. Godwin.
With your phone, you know, near her for number science so Reverend Lawson Latte, Bushing for Papa now or your police ni omo board chairman and then ye didn't know Nnawotwe Eda to me first so one. Now ye ka disparities are I'll try as much as possible say when it comes to education ye no too political because of figures are eda eponosono. Now yes share asiene the current results no. We share the number of enkwada cultural exams. Na say ye ka say yabomodin. In another vein, we share the number of enkwada omu efeli poto F9 na. O de tun senienia no bisa ho say ye free he enya bebedua bebia ye dui. Etoso mienu so no. Enkwada na omo pass ye no. Schools ben mu na omo free. One ma omo fail ye no so school ben mu na omo free. Hwe me under normal circumstance say ye transfer obia I don't see it as punishment. What you say. However, say baby I will transfer obi free in crime. Akwako dua no. School ben ene wo ho a gladly obeka say me nkwada ekọ na ye duru ho a ye benya school ha compared to Prempeh College, compared to Achimota, compared to Presec. I don't see why ABC ene we are centering our education system in the urban areas. Nanu ya yekoye your friend say National Science and Maths quiz. Look at the performance of Keta. Ene enkwadano eye meka say omu performance no eda obibia ano. I think about 2 years or 4 years ago, WASSCE, West African Secondary School, omu contest here, I think they placed second or even first. Second.
Yeah.
Brilliant performance. And until as computer placement system, no, I don't fight it. And we must encourage this placement system to work, because anka a normal child like omo perform so brilliantly in Keta
like
and was
Elamisi.
Exactly. Yes. Anka yebeka so yemfa no enko Achimota, Prempeh College, and as a Wesley Girls and all that.
Yeah.
But that is where they found themselves because of the friend is saying. There was one significant thing that happened to the one Rasta guy now, Achimota school. Magai. I learned to say he was supposed to be part of Achimota school
the team
anka omo echo but because of this controversies you know ne papa ye no se be ne echo private school hwe and your education system no ho me one problem me wo ye your education system ebesi ne and I've not under Nana Adodango Akufo-Addo all these years and say yenim say enya kwada bia na obetumi ewie from JSS to SS from SS to the university enade obi eka ekwan so a how does the system absorb the child say your education system na say enkwada ewie SSS na omo a ye ka say omo passing po no about 40% they will not get access to the university na ebraben na yebo hwe any education system it provide access and as a branches hwe obi be ka say akwada de eye den ya obehwe ase but we must not have a system akwada behwe ase amanetiko apai sometimes people don't drop out of school because omo sebe omo me but comparatively no baako be the first baako e be the third baako be the your friends in 20th but what other accesses what other avenues do we have for such kids omuntumi nko universities and that is where my emphasis are obeko ebia amanone obi aye accounting obi aye economics okase ne me pese me medicine obeko akotro exams baako mienu bi wa branch oko akwakoye medicine ye de no wokase wo kosei that is where you are stuck and that is the problem with our education system into obi a wenya access no that is where my emphasis is
okay
edie na ye wode obi akwada eko a technical school na ene ye ka process akwada na ebia wabon into na wode no eko technical school but ene the job market we obi a wo nsa no adwuma anasa wo obi a wako technical school the job market is looking for you more than obi a wako university no wako I don't mention any cost to you know be I said me the mini cost be another okay this year the number of enkorofo a omobabe graduate from the universities omoye marketing over 3,000 omoye public administration maybe about 4,000 nipa ahe ena ebetumi enya eduma from school
okay
you know
Godwin me pese me yanini wie
okay
you were helping out with the 11 subjects that were leaked so we can get back to
so the papers we have food and nutrition English language financial accounting further mathematics or e-maths okay so we also have physics biology
suliki okay
we also have economics
and suliki
chemistry integrated science so these are the 11 subjects. We also monitored the NAP text, which is for technical students.
So can you tell us the performance of students in these leaked subjects
so practically, as you have mentioned, English, science, maths have leaked. And when you look at the performance, we've seen that for the English language, there has been a decline by 3.2%.
Even in spite of the leakage?
Yes. But for science and then maths, for science we've seen an increase by 13%, and mathematics we've seen social studies we've seen an increase by 2%, approximately 2%. The mathematics has also decreased by 12%.
No, but on those ones that decreased, what does it suggest? Is it that the markers had to tighten the marking scheme so to maybe prove a point to Africa Education Watch that look, what you guys said is not true, So that I mean, I don't know if you
Well,
get.
you know, who knows that maybe without the irregularities, it could have been even worse than probably. So, but that is not our concentration now. Our point is that we want our point is not for students to see students fail. Our point is to see students pass and pass because they have done it with their own hard work. So we want the system to be free from all sort of irregularities. That is what we are talking about. We are not fighting the percentage of students that have passed. If 90% of our students pass, we'll clap for it. Once the system can ensure us of examination security. So our advocacy is towards ensuring the security of the papers along all the.
For instance, English language saw over 61,000 students get F9. Even after the leakage. And
so you look,
you ask yourself how?
WASSCE is withholding 3,667 papers for further investigation. That is actually 950% increment from the previous year. Last year they held 384 papers. And this year the number has increased to 3,667.
3,000
on various issues of irregularities. So you see, it just points to a point that yes, the exam process has been ridden with a lot of irregularities that we need to address. Otherwise, the certificate that we are giving to our students could lose its value at the international level, even at the national level. This is what we want to avoid. So if you are holding this huge number, which is actually 950% increment from the previous year, it points to a fact that...
What was the figure last year again?
384.
384.
This are 3,667. And
it could possibly be as a result of the leakages.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. Yeah. So they are being held because of suspicion of irregularities.
Yes.
So pending investigation. Yes. And also script. These are entire results held. That's the 3,000K plus. And now the script held are actually in 194 schools. That is like 20% of the WASSCE schools. 20% of the schools that actually wrote the WASSCE this year, they are having 1 or 2 scripts being withheld, apart from the 3,000 entire results. So it just points to a picture that, look, we are dealing with institutionalized irregularities in our assessment space. And our call has always been that let's have a reform so that when the results come and then we cannot celebrate because, you know...
With the reform, where do we start from?
It starts from reforming, first of all, our assessment space from the primary level all through to the...
You mean the continuous assessment?
Yes, so in education, we have 2 types of assessment.
Okay.
Formative assessment and summative assessment.
Okay.
The formative one are those that take place in the school, class tests, class exercise.
Yes.
Those are the formative one. Then the summative one, we can give BEC and then WASSCE as summative assessment. Now, when it comes to formative assessment, we are saying that reforming, because what is currently happening in our schools is not the best practice. You know, you just finish and then the note is on the board and you say you give an exercise that alongside the note and ask the student see the answers directly from the note and produce and you mark 10 over. It's not a reflection of what the child actually knows. So shift away from this kind of archaic mode of assessing students to modern way of assessing students. Some of these could be portfolio assessment. Education needs to understand that, and then also
break it down for my listeners, please.
And then also we call project-based assessment. So students are actually giving projects, and they do.
So the portfolio assessment, how is that one done?
It's similar to the so you have a kind of a portfolio on a child. So you track the holistic development of the child and assess the child's way of answering questions, the child's communication. So you are documenting all those things, giving mark, assessing the child along the line. If you so a class 1 teacher will have a whole portfolio on the child. So the child, you are monitoring the child, you are assessing the child on a daily basis, and you are giving an idea of what the child is being able to. So that then the project-based assessment is basically about what we give students projects to do. They can even work in group, no more individualization of assessment. Because that's at work, one of the skills students should have
is at the primary level. They can work in group.
Yeah, collaboration is one of the key in the 21st century. One of the skills everybody should have, because you can't work as an individual at the workplace. So it's a skill that the child must learn.
Absolutely.
So let students collaborate and work on projects. It doesn't forget about this individualization. Student, you alone, you are with one paper and you are writing and you pass. We are shifting away from that. So they work on that project, a project that is thought-provoking. so that they bring out and they do all of this. Student work in group and present. So you begin to shift away from this, what is defined, sort of assessment. That when you are able to have a robust and a credible formative assessment at the school level that is more reflective of the child's performance, then you build a data on the child. Right now, we don't have any data or reliable data on student assessment at the basic level. The child that has done the class terminal exam or classwork, you may not have data on it. So when you have a good formative assessment on a child from the primary level through to GSS level, we are saying once you can ensure that that data is reliable, that data should even form higher percentage of the child's win for the WASSCE outcome. For instance, BEC, instead of currently is doing 30% from the school, 30%, and then BEC is giving you 70%, the same as the WASSCE. We said, no, don't do it like that. When you have a robust formative assessment, you can even make your school formative, the school should even give you 70%, and then the BEC should just take 30%. Because you know that is the child is in school. That is where you should assess the child more. Not 1.5 or 2 hours of sitting down to answer 5 questions or 3 questions should be what you should assess the child with and say that is the child performance.
Fantastic.
So when we have a robust formative assessment and takes a higher weighing, like 70 or 60%, and then WASSCE takes like 30 or 40%, it helps the process. So you know that your school works even takes higher percentage, and otherwise you will not be fighting for apport to say I have to get apport.
So Divine, WASSCE and our educational system, do we have a long way to go from the research that you've conducted?
We actually have a long way to go, but what we can also talk about is that we appreciate some of the reforms that are going on. We can't discount some of these reforms that are going on. For instance, the continuous professional development for teachers, because when teachers complete school, you don't see progression on their career.
PDA, which has become topical lately because of the teachers meet one.
So teachers, they have to, because I always say before you even complete College of Education, what you've learned is becoming obsolete in the teaching field.
Yeah.
So you should retool yourself.
Absolutely.
So now that they have introduced continuous professional, that regular teachers will meet to update their knowledge, it's very good. We have also seen a new curriculum, which has its own challenge, but like the lack of test back. The reform on the curriculum alone is a plus, because for the past 10 years, we have not reviewed our curriculum, and all that we're learning were outdated. So it's good we have reformed our curriculum, and then we are also trying to see a new space in assessment. Currently, students will be writing the national standard test. P4 will start. Actually, it's supposed to be class 2, class 4, and then class 6. But this year, we'll be starting with P4, which is a plus, because you need to, at every stage, a child must achieve a standard. That is why the curriculum is called standard-based curriculum. So now we want our child to achieve a standard after completing class 1 and then class 2. So we assess you, have you achieved that standard? Then if you haven't achieved it, we will not repeat you go to the class 3, but we'll give you an intervention while you are in the class 3. The same way you have to achieve a standard by after completing class 3 and then class 4. We assess you at class 4 again, and then class 6 we assess you. So at every age, every 2 years, we want you to achieve a particular standard. So some of these reforms are going to help. But one thing in education is that it takes longer time for reforms to produce outcomes or what we want to see. So maybe we need to be a bit patient with the system.
Divine, many thanks for your time this morning. You've been of great help. I think we will need more time to delve into our educational system, and then we can see the way forward. But for now, thank you very much for
having me.
Ora Divine, research fellow, Africa Education Watch, and Obeka Yeho ewo dwumadi eso no. You see, I come many politicians no, ye ba betwitwi nkomo. Yentie Honorable Yaw Educhum, Education Minister, on WASSCE results no.
Our share adesua ho nsem so Dr. Yaw Educhum at the science semi to dwa abra na wo yi nsembisa bia no e won mahye bedwamu na num e na odi tu dwa se akyerkyerafo abo ho modin yi e wo no madwuma yemu ye ani nyina da di pefe e wo adesuafo nso hwa wo tworo ya e ho sunsanso ababeto montene so abra mahye bedwani a wogina ma won ma obusila north Dr. Clementa Park ebisa akwan a omaimu akyerkyerafo e fa so e kyerɛ new curriculum ya so ye no e de aba wa abra wa mo textbooks no e na soafo yi e de sa emuaye yi e ma no
modern say me friend who teacher in chief a teacher for hene enti me teacher for hene me say me microphone so ye adwuma papa na wo hwɛ nyame ada roma enso hwɛ ababonten enura nko a Oma wie secondary school and so how mokoye na fi nso empuntuo kese aba say uhwe nipa dodo atimi apase a omo be ko entroaso school a na no kire o say teacher for bo ho modern wo mamu covid-19 mu nyina teacher for bo ho modern penti e do mase e wo dwuma da bia omo ye e ma enwumasua ehu empuntuo.
Dr. Yawedu Chumagidi ye pass national standard examination no ebeboa e wo adekire ene adesua ho nsem.
I have indicated that the procurement is ongoing. As I speak with you, publishers have been called to submit prices of their books so that the procurement process would continue. I know that procurement follows certain processes, but within the period of 3 months, emphasis, Mr. Speaker, 3 months, I am sure we would have had the textbooks being distributed to various schools in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, going by this response, ideally the books should have been available in our classrooms by August the 10th. Mr. Speaker, today's date.
Honorable Yao Educhum, Education Minister, and so we are back in the studio, but Honorable Morris, unka WASSCE no hu no kakranti mamema akwanya na fe briefly won so comment on it na fe ye moving on.
Yo CJ medase me fe nchia sonko from awu no wait safe nyara mu no amchia wa no pay na ya se buka mankase fo hwe nyina so CJ mchia hwan WASSCE result mfa abasobozi bi mfa ma abofra bi ofi ekraso tu a wo mo constituency ho ofi ikrobi ofren abura ojumase no WASSCE result pede wankasa ehwe endeda na what's bram na se afa kakra bada ikrase dam na se WASSCE result otum oyaze pa la pede wankasa ehwe school so okra ye Abraman secondary school anka work agreed a school sina nka Abraman zenkonka ho isije izi pede wankasa o ma minza akohwin wankasa kan kire wetifo ode kraso ho no.
Wow. Okay, into social studies onya A1, English language B3, mathematics core A1, integrated science A1, economics B2, geography A1, government A1, mathematics elective A1. Wow.
Yeah. Albert question ekrase kra ne papa ne dwuma ye otwabe abetwafo owo ojuma ase ho.
Wow.
Na ne bi wankọ agree mu school ntina mabozi first wankọ adi school wankọ infant wankọ primary college wankọ was na okọ Abraman secondary school
wankọ Winisec
wankọ Winisec I na ekure yem
go fiam be say wankọ Kumasi Academy so be
na se wa gba no humbazo na ma ezi inkransha sam na mazba ma no yin na busu nyina mbuo biara yin nyina ezbo bo no wakota share biara yezbo bo no ma wako open yen tum yen ka WASSCE asam na yen yi free SHS yen yin film yen tum yen ka nda WASSCE result asam men ye political but at least odi ye hu baby a ye fi na baby a yedu divine okan 2015 asem like totally in no about 40%
and then 2016
then 2017
it moved to 46%
about 46% but in there you do 60% and above which is good for us as a country yeru ku hinanyim pa as oman na and be said that ana free SHS ana owo nsunsuandu bido ewo result to da na but yen ranu maybe nya wakasa
yeah but Peter Antia there's no scientific research
exactly
to prove say free SHS and anya impact be on so if there's that research free what am I you should put it out.
I'm more research but
okay.
if you nyanse na if you adwen so na mazere bakase There was no scientific research. Most scientific research be arranged for metase. But say be so onye free SHS here. Na ke bia Albert question ya makana simplicity. Ke bia onya kwan no ko secondary school. Mofama pi wo ha wo ko school wo hinim krasi basic school. They pass very well. But first then nanka wonya kwan krapo wo mba school akasebim. Them fancy pim na. But in there mam ka say me nche na sero. First me keep coasting. Musan na every weekend bia ye ko holy child one border do. Border. Na border ndun ekwa like it's ban. E bia sardine for 100 the border ndo in the pen in the books na ye kwa na yakasa saw. So this tells you the caliber of people at no them school. But see in the coho in the same border. Our
sardine book but BB
the way you used to crap was a crap. Indeed. So this is telling us that at least
we've come far.
We've come far.
Yeah.
A bit more woffy baby and car in the do bearing home in the local school. From 2017, 2018, 2019, I said, I want to go for GHS, or SHS. Number extra and but I feel between 2020 and 2021, I want to watch exams increment, over 18%. You hit 400 and something. So this is an encouragement of your number from my way class and when you be the doing and you be home.
Okay.
Yes, how a free SHS no any resort okwa enkan nga afro be ko school a na woro bonem be origin is don ka school fees amanka se bito some come asam kire you know where I came from and where I am today o bombe no aka kire ka school fees obi wo ho a onara onyim de osuanze ne den okko school obi yin ezin na osuan biara obi wo ho a ne maame o shubru okay na ne maame obeden wa shubru wa na at the end when you school go to school fees. But in the local school, only peace of mind. Osuanze obere mbe yime di school fees. Lenti na musumu suanze na musumu fon komanyim. Ni nyinara in a way one way or the other it's a contributing factor. Apo opinion na apo bay. One can call what time? Just be frank and be truthful. A 17 and here for they will tell you there upon on yende na apo bay. But upon in nature, you day still upon in nature. Mofaman, ibinum feli. Umemmo farman wana bado. One yazin, Uma yen shown on crying. Education reformer, yenra education minister was opening. Yin are so many in I am boa.
Okay.
Big Biara Nashes Biara. It was what answer. Big Biara Nashes.
Okay. Okay. Time minute, but then moving corruption.
Okay, sure.
My honorable in 1 minute. Sure. I could get my
Bibiara national free SHS and go for Casa for home. Education reform CSC wa ben go for Casa for home. But we need to move forward as people. Eko de bia enkura de bia ezan to one you can nazi for you to teach at a basic school. You need to have your master's degree. You need to have your master's degree. If you not there, ila embrace dana. Nyanso gendam. Nyanso yase sayen ho. Hwe ekọ de min kro ye de bia ezi yan wototo won ho. One on your classroom Ghana ha teacher mo notes na say your assignment na show something outside your notes crapper and hwe crapper ba mark wrong. San hwe ye because obaga cho de mazi panchiro. But on boy henma yen think outside the box. I'm a bachelor's degree crapper. And I do get invitation from universities outside. The manka chair at the offer practical aspect of community development in developing countries. Practical aspect of community development. That time crapo in a bachelor's degree crapo in a movie.
Okay.
But they need the practical aspect. Because what you there as now what's the manka chair? I am already doing it. So I am not telling them what is in the book.
Okay.
But I am telling them what is and see opinion CSE says Buboma. Education minister, I think he's doing a fantastic job.
Okay.
In Breda, what in Nara, Yabonaba, Yamanitipia, the Morian Unconim, na on my education system of Ghana.
All right, Honorable Elvis Morris Donko, MP Abra Asebu Kwamankese, and out in Canada.
CJ
Godwin. 2 minutes, quick one, because I said about corruption.
CJ, say Honorable Kasa, the all kind of any scientific basis be on one Kasa ne maybe who ne bro no so no, and or the analysis. I appreciate that. Onim Obi any who beka say education, say abayin eso parent asia, eya de bone. Nobody has fought it. Say and first time apo aba. But this is the first time state engineered apo eba your education system. State engineered apo eba system. Let me explain to it. Let me explain to it. Yes, please. You see, please. All the years, all over the years, say akwada eko school abayin ebuano emaninya textbooks ewo schools edisua de under the hardship ye womu eneno
abana textbooks
meba
hey,
yes
pamphlet how not a pamphlet
oh meba course series obia listen Jimmy yes oh don't worry abayin emma schools textbooks all over the years. This is the first time textbook abayin say ebi ni ho into wo kwa control exams abayin etwesika or de kwa koto past questions but you agree say the issue of past questions enya de fufuro there is not even one error school akwa koto past questions the ama ni students
was the billing him
enya no kre meba o kasana me wa misra yen kasa in our efforts echo library echo print past questions and try our hands on it. Never has abayin supplied past questions to schools. Never in our history. One kasa beko library and wakakoye. Se odi free SHS kase ena enkwada mu wo nkurase
but your explanation now does not connote a state sponsored or state engineered because
when have you heard in the history of Ghana say sometimes when you are speaking as I say asemna kasa wo kan ehun adanse here and ubetwebi e de ye dance here when has it happened sa kwada kwakotro exams ewie owie no did your mampeni atam because of the false hope the man say apo ebeto enie jai bibia wosua nakosua sa adewe and exactly the first time yenya enkwada on social media insulting.
And I mean, previously we didn't have social media, and then social media now.
No, Godwin, time and social under Governor Mahama, not social media anymore. Under Professor Mills, not social media anymore. Under President Kufuor, not social media anymore. Like today. It is not true. It has been there under Rawlings era. When social media has been there, and now Okwa Ebia. Almost started Facebook and no. Say people are celebrating 15 years of friendship on Facebook. What I mean is say people have had 15 years friendship and all those things. So that one should tell you when people started even using Facebook. You understand what I mean? That me find excuse to say bia and then a phone ebu and say Android phone ebu free SHS.
Rolling Stein now Facebook ID then. Rolling Stein.
Now me need Facebook ID. I think say Professor Mills time because me ankasa I was na me obia internet maybe your me na man ko una wan ko una wan ko me atamos time na me call but we have
1 minute but
yes
1 minute
inti enye ne na Facebook sorry your friend is saying free SHS no free SHS e de ehiafo emma akọ your friend is saying schools me call Prempeh College. And time I me 92, 93, a friend is saying academic year. We had people who came to Form 1, Sabin Preduasa, brought one line krana Erding.
Prempe.
I am telling you.
Okay.
That should tell you.
Say, me will be sir. Me will be also akọ Prempe also.
One line krana Erding. Ubetuma ko dining hall. Na obi a waba Prempe college. Etumi aka kire o say senior. Mame kwanta no fansa mpampa ni bi. Na se premo to a ma twini mimi. Buafo one line kra enim. A wakatwi. A wo kra wo te ho a onim say wakatwi kra no wante ase. Oti ase. But these people were able to transform themselves just entering your friends a Prempe college and passed very well.
Godwin.
Never. Into that issue say ebia and then obi we kurase Nwaba secondary school and na de no.
Thank you very much. We don't have all time. We have about
I tried as much
minutes.
as possible say me when it comes to education, me entire enfa enye politics.
Politics, okay.
You understand? Until say Angela or the kofa ebayo.
Okay, my entire home na politics.
Adia enye no na enye.
But o debi ono dem pocho wa ba twice. Mama kama asem kakra bi yan kodo. Say obi ba secondary school na onte brofo a na onche da wa bono. In my class, agree. There was Obi Okwa Obi School 99 BI knows what I'm talking about. In our grade class.
We 99.
We 99.
Also we Unisec 99.
Obi Abezim who dance there. The best students. They be no the chemistry award. Not most of the awards. Na bro for friend bro. No to munkabi. That doesn't mean there. Bia WASSCE another WASSCE them more no. Another that doesn't mean there. All they crashing.
Exactly.
Oh no, they be meba.
Elvis Morris don't go. Waka papa. No nche de WASSCE. Mo yi kan WASSCE to am de WASSCE.
But stay sponsored upon Oregon. No they will do one chirem. Let it be on record. They will do one chirem.
No.
But on us see it being sit down there abani bi aba also quarter past questions or that mama from Moses yaze but me say be send and abani bi so aba also moto mo from Ghana nyina ho school fees it being sit down and abani bi aba also textbooks of from
abani bi abada
wana ababan
John Dramani Mahama.
Okay.
Every Ghanaian in Ghana. Every Ghanaian.
I want to get total education. I will come.
No. That is why there's a difference